So, the new iPads are out, which means it's that time of the year where we all ask ourselves, do I get the 11-inch iPad or the 13-inch iPad? And I feel like it's even more confusing this year because Apple have just dropped the cheaper 13-inch iPad Air. So, for the first time, the larger size iPad isn't the most expensive option. Now, I've been using both the new 11 and 13-inch iPad Pros over the last 2 weeks, so in this video I'll be talking about my experience using the two sizes before telling you which one I'll be returning and why. Okay, so touching first on portability. I think that when it comes to the whole 11-inch versus 13-inch iPad debate, portability is historically where the 11-inch wins out. You know, it's a lot easier and lighter to carry around and take with you on the go. However, after using both models for the last 2 weeks, I think there's a lot more nuance involved than I initially thought, because there are some circumstances where the 11-inch iPad is actually less portable than the 13-inch. And that's mainly if you're planning to use the iPad as your main computer. You see, as a student whose note-taking life runs on the iPad, there have been many times where I wanted to take just my iPad with me to campus, rather than having to carry around both my iPad and my MacBook. However, I've never really been able to do that because the 11-inch iPad just wasn't large enough for me to multitask with. Like, sure, if all you're doing is typing up notes from a PDF document in split screen, that's fine. But the moment you want to use multiple windows with Stage Manager or split screen your questions and handwrite notes on the other side, 11 inches just isn't enough space. And so because of that, I usually have to carry around both my MacBook and my iPad with me. So instead of carrying around just one device, I'm now having to take two, which is technically weighing me down a bit more than if I just had the 13-inch iPad with me. And so in that sense, the larger iPad size might actually be more portable if it eliminates the need for you to carry around an extra laptop with you. Having said that, a lot of my life still runs on apps like Notion and Microsoft Office, and I'm usually multitasking with multiple windows and apps open all at once. And in that case, I'd much rather take an 11-inch iPad, just to use as a second screen or to mark up PDFs and jot down notes, than the 13-inch iPad. So zooming out here, if the iPad is going to be your main standalone computer, you should probably go with the 13-inch model. There's no doubt about that. You get way more space. If you're editing videos in Final Cut Pro, you'll be able to see more of your timeline. If you're managing spreadsheets, you'll be able to see more rows and columns. It'll just feel like a normal laptop. In fact, I pretty much never used Stage Manager on my old 11-inch iPad Pro, simply because I didn't see the use in having a bunch of tiny windows that I could never really properly use. But since trying out this larger 13-inch model, I've been making a lot more use of Stage Manager, and I can sort of see why Apple introduced it and why so many people tout the iPad as being a MacBook replacement. If, however, you're using the iPad more as a companion device and to handle your lighter computing needs, maybe the occasional Lightroom edit here and there, or just browsing Pinterest, then you may want to go for the smaller iPad instead. And if you own an external display, you can also connect that to any M series iPad and enjoy the benefits of a larger screen without having to necessarily purchase the larger iPad. So a lot of the time when it comes to writing the scripts for these YouTube videos and doing research, I'll often hook the 11-inch iPad Pro up to my studio display so I can multitask easily. And then when I want to use the iPad at my bed in tablet mode, I can easily do just that. And this brings me on to the next point, which is sort of about versatility. Because you see, a big reason why so many people, including myself, use an iPad is because it's a versatile product. One moment I could be signing off a document using the Apple Pencil, the next minute I could be reading a book on the Kindle app, and then the minute after I could be using my iPad as a desktop connected to an external display. And I would argue that the 11-inch iPad is more versatile than the 13-inch, simply because with the 13-inch iPad, you usually need to mount it to either a keyboard or a table in order to comfortably use it, whereas the 11-inch is just so much easier to hold in your hands. It's perfect for reading books at night. Like if I tried reading a book like Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal on this 13-inch iPad, it would just look and feel a bit ludicrous. The best way I can describe it is that the 13-inch iPad feels like you're holding a television in your hands, which does make any content you're watching a lot more immersive, especially with its larger speakers, but it also makes it difficult to use as a tablet. Even though Apple have technically reduced the thickness and the weight of the 13-inch iPad Pro this year, it still does feel quite cumbersome to hold in your hands, which for me almost defeats the purpose of having an iPad in the first place, which is for that touchscreen interaction. However, one benefit that the larger 13-inch iPad does have going for it is psychology, and as a student, if I was deciding which iPad size to get, this would probably be the main deciding factor in why I would ultimately pick the 13-inch iPad. And that's because the 13-inch just feels like a device that you're meant to get work done on. It has a very boss level, serious vibe to it that I feel like the 11-inch iPad just doesn't have. And in fact, whenever I'm working on my 11-inch iPad, very often I'm tempted to just open up YouTube or scroll through Instagram because if you look at the size, it just feels perfect for those kinds of tasks. And to be fair, that's not inherently a bad thing. It just depends on whether or not you want your iPad to be a production device or a consumption device primarily. And for me, my Mac is my main working device. And so I'm happy for my iPad to act as more of a productive procrastination device that I use to watch other people's tech videos for research purposes. And you'll notice that throughout this video, I keep saying that it depends on your use case, which I appreciate can sound a bit vague, but the reason I say that is because the iPads are just tools at the end of the day. And which tool is better is going to depend on your use case. Like if you're serious about using your iPad to manage a business or edit videos on as a content creator, or as a student trying to maximize your productivity, you should probably get the 13-inch iPad for the psychology and productivity benefits, even if that means it is slightly less portable. Whereas, if you're like me and you're treating your iPad more as a hybrid between consumption and creation, then I think the 13-inch iPad just makes a lot more sense. So I'll leave you with this. Regardless of which iPad size you opt for, chances are you're probably going to regret your decision either way, because you'll wonder what life with the other size could have been like. And because of that, my advice would be to actually visit an Apple store or purchase both models, like on a credit card or something, if you're able to, just to play around with them for the 2-week return window, and then return the one that you don't like. In fact, this is exactly what I did, because I spent hours binging all of the comparison videos on YouTube, reading through all of the Mac Rumor forums and the Reddit posts, trying to make the best decision. And ultimately, I realized that the best solution is to just use both of them. And by doing this, I realized that the iPad for me isn't really going to be my main computer. It's more sort of a companion device or a couch computer. And because of that, I stuck with the 11-inch model. And if you're unsure whether or not the iPad can actually be your main computer, then I have a video covering that, which I'll leave linked at the end of this video for you. Consider leaving a like if you found this video helpful, and subscribe for the next one.